So for Spooky Month, we're both running Ubuntu, or at least some variety thereof. Yeah, we're kind of we're in that camp, right? But
yeah,
I know I made a choice for test out XFCE because we're doing that for the entire month.
Yeah, you did a double whammy. You played it smart. I could have totally done this.
Yep, and it just got released, so I mean, you can't get it much fresher than that, right? So I feel like it's a good choice. I had another mission, so I'm doing like maybe 3 things at the same time with this.
Of course.
So I mean, for one of my other hats in Ubuntu, I'm doing some research on some things, and so I did the minimal install. Minimal. Is it minimal? I don't know. Anyway, whatever they're calling it. It used to be Ubuntu Core, and then I think now it's Ubuntu Minimal. I think that's what they're calling it now.
Okay.
And so I'm doing that as a test to kind of see what other flavors you're doing, to slim things down as far as
your secret shopping. You came into the store and you wanted to check out the experience.
Well, yeah, so it is the experience I'm after, because I could easily look at the manifest and see what's installed and go from there. But I wanted to see what it was like and what sort of obstacles do you bump into anyway. And so we're all friends in the flavor community, so it's like, not really stealing, but, we're...
All right, so you're friends. I get that. That's great.
So we're sharing knowledge.
All right, so spill the tea. Why does Ubuntu suck?
No. No, it doesn't. It doesn't suck. So that's what I'm using. I'm using 2310 Ubuntu. Yeah, no, so it's not terrible. They've made some improvements with some things. And I know you're going to bring this up for a different reason on the framework.
Yeah.
And so they've made some improvements on the scaling and stuff and whatnot. And
have they?
I will say, I don't want to be disparaging. It's not on par probably with your Wayland, GNOME experience. So I wish they had a finer scale option, I guess, if you will. Right. So it's not as fractional as I'd like. That's the only dilemma I got.
So it's 2x or 200 and 1x or 100.
Yeah, maybe there was a 1.5 or something like that. Yeah, so it's like halfway, but not as granular as I'd like, I guess, is the thing.
Yeah, the 150s is what had gotten me in trouble for a very long time, and I was not happy with the experience. But it wasn't any particular distribution or anything like that. It was just the state of Linux display tech.
Right.
And, so I kind of had to deal with it. And the only way to deal with it was to, on the framework, leave it at 1x scale or 100% scaling, which is teeny tiny little itty bitty. And on the...
I'm not quite that small. So I'm 1080p on a 14-inch screen, which is okay. Okay, but it's not.
I feel
little.
I feel like I gotta squint
because I do have to squint.
I've got Endeavor. Well, I've got a 14-inch 10 T450S back here, and man, I feel like I gotta scale it to 125. Maybe that's just because I'm old now.
1.1, 1.2, somewhere in that range, right?
Yeah. Actually, 1.1 would probably be fine. Because on a lot of these installs, I'll do the font scaling to 1.1, and I'm like, that's comfortable. I like that. That's good.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's a great system. Not gonna complain about that. I don't want to give too much away on XFCE because I'm saving that, and I am doing some traveling here at the end of this week, so I'm really gonna have a good chance to test the laptop itself and XFCE.
Right.
So I'm kind of excited for that.
Will Ubuntu explode?
Yeah, I doubt it. I really do. I just I feel like
too stable for that.
Yeah. So,
well, when's the last time they had a major, and by major I mean a minor point release upgrade?
Was it I want to say it was like right around the drop.
It's 4.18, right?
The drop of the LTS, whenever that was, right? So I want to say that's when 4.18 hit, and before that it was 4.16. So
a little over a year and a half ago.
A couple of years usually on a release on those things, and so
we'll actually have a proper answer for you in the XFCE history episode, because there's a good chance that that's exactly what we're going to talk about.
I'm just going by my memory, and that seems about right. I feel like it's really solid, and so a lot of the bugs and stuff have been addressed and whatnot. So, and you know, like they've had Graybird Dark for a few releases now, and that looks really pretty good. I'm just gonna say.
I might catch some flack for this, but there was you sent me a screenshot, and I think Firefox was part of it.
Yep.
And it just fully embraced the Advaita theme, and
it's consistent.
I couldn't shake that. I like that theme.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
And like everything is very consistent. Very consistent. A lot of attention to detail there.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why I'm having such a good time, because I ended up on Ubuntu as well, but just regular old Ubuntu.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And and because every release I got to throw it on something just to kind of poke around, and this time it's been a long time since this happened. This time, I didn't trash it.
Good.
This time, I had questions. On the framework, as I mentioned before, the resolution, it's not 4K, but
it's up there.
It's still high DPI, right? And I guess the developer or the art people would, argue with me on the high DPI definition, but it makes things super tiny if it's 1x. So I need scaling. And so the first thing I do when I get a couple of pieces of software installed is to turn on scaling. And my preferred scaling on this framework is 150%. I turned it on, and because the snap of Firefox, I know, is now Wayland by default, that just worked.
Nice.
So
that's nothing wrong with that.
No, everything looked good. Everything was nice and crisp. I could go to any website and things worked.
Cool.
Then I was like, okay, well, what else can I try? And I installed Discord. Discord had also been a situation, an X-Wayland situation. So when you scale in Wayland...
Yeah, X-Wayland stuff is not the greatest, right? Yeah.
Yeah, non-integer scaling, I believe is what they call it. So basically, if it's not 100 or 200 or 300%, things are going to look weird.
Right.
And historically, Discord has been reluctant to upgrade Electron so that it supported Wayland. But apparently they did that.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right.
So Discord's looking good. Discord's nice and crisp. I don't think Telegram has had an issue with this, but...
Well, that's cute, so maybe not.
Yeah. Nice and crisp.
Cool.
And another Electron app that I use all the time, Element, to get into our Matrix channel.
Yeah, sure.
Is nice and crisp. PlexAmp is nice and crisp. I don't...
That's kind of rounding it out there, Leo.
Yeah, it sure is. Thunderbird, where I get our email that you can send us at contact@linuxuserspace.show, is nice and crisp.
Okay.
I mean, all the no maps are there.
Right.
So the terminal looks good. The file explorer looks good. Everything. So
that's good.
The vast majority of the things that I use on a day-to-day look absolutely stunning on Ubuntu 23.10.
Cool.
I cannot say the same for any of the other Ubuntus.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, they're either on X, which you can do scaling, but it's not quite eats up CPU cycles to do so. Or I'm on Plasma, which had a couple extra little
yeah, you have to install another package basically to get into the Wayland and get that. There's like a Plasma Wayland package. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it exactly, but yeah, you install that, and then Wayland is an option when you go to log in.
Yeah.
On Plasma.
So But the thing about this was I didn't expect to be surprised about this.
Mhm.
I did not expect this to be as good as it was. And because of that, I am enjoying my time on 2310.
You're making me jealous. You were making me jealous when you were talking about it earlier in the week, and like last week. Look at me over here.
It's too good.
I need more time so I can make sure I got a good backup so that I can switch. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So on a 1080p screen, you can cozy up to the scaling too. You do 125, and on a 1080p screen on 14 inches, man, it looks good. It's nice and cozy. The thing about doing this a little bit of scaling, even on a 1080p screen, when you scale up just that quarter step, the fonts look better. They have this sharp crispness to them that you don't get when you're running at 1x. It's crazy.
There's another piece to the reason why I choose to do some scaling there and make it a little bigger, maybe bigger than normal for some people. And that's because this is also a touchscreen. And unless you've got your finger like really sharp, those little buttons are hard to hit. And I don't use that a lot, but I do kind of like to sometimes select different windows quickly.
Yeah.
And maybe, grab the top bar and move them a little bit or something if, I'm just watching a couple of things go on rather than grab the mouse. Because honestly, it is faster. And like if you're just looking to grab a window that's in the background, you just tap it and it's like right there, right?
That's cool.
But yeah, you got to be incredibly accurate when it's like really small like that.
Yeah, well, in honor of Spooky Month, I have bony little pokers.
Yeah.
I also have them the other 11 months of the year.
Yeah.
But it works really good for that particular
like that.
situation.
Yep.
But, just because I have them doesn't mean I want to have to use them in an extremely accurate kind of way. So scaling up is such...
It's a good reason, yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing to do. And at least on GNOME, and I know just ever so slightly behind them is Plasma, we got that.
It's there now,
we actually have that cool fractional scaling. Because 200% on Framework is just absolutely way too much. Those things are just, too big.
Yeah.
Too big. It feels like, how you're playing with Lego and you're putting those together, but then for some reason in the batch of Lego, there's like one of those Dual-Po or Duplo or whatever, the kid ones.
Yeah.
The really tiny baby kid ones. And you're like, what is... That's how 200% scaling on the Framework feels.
Is great.
It's weird.
Yeah.
150, right in the middle. That's the answer, I think.
Yep. So...
But never thought I'd say it, but here I am again on Ubuntu proper.
That's
loving it.
Well, and like before all of that, I did some Ubuntu testing and whatnot too. So I've had a couple rounds of a couple of different flavors of Ubuntu on the 2310 release, and things are looking pretty good for most of the flavors. I feel like obviously it's only 3 out of there's so many now.
Yeah.
But like I mean, things are looking good in time to be ready for the LTS that's coming in April. So
if it's half as good as this, I might find myself on another LTS for a long term.
I'm still on the last one.
Yeah. I would have been had scaling been there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I know, and now this happens to me every time, Leo. Every time, I'm just gonna hang out here for 2 years. I'm gonna hang out on the LTS, and then we get to that final release, that final interim release before the next LTS, and I'm like, I gotta go now.
Yeah.
You
just can't wait.
We're just like one cycle too long. That's it.
Because this is 2404 RC1. I feel like this is the one we're finalizing the things. There's not going to be much change between this and
Probably
the LTS.
Yeah, a little bit. Well,
nobody likes to shake the boat. This is
stay tuned.
Okay.
I think
you've got insider knowledge.
Yeah,
I feel
we had a big developer meeting for Ubuntu, and I think there's some there's some things in the works. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, there's, I think between now and then, there's going to be about a few episodes of Linux User Space that'll be coming out about the time that we're wrapping up the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So, I mean, go check the @Ubuntu official Twitter or X or Zitter or whatever we're calling that this week. Yeah, go check that out. There's a link to the developers meeting that we had. So there's all the notes are there.
Stay tuned. I'm gonna get Dan to digest those notes and tell us all the juicy bits next episode.
All right, sounds good.